Hi there, this is Allison with Let's Go Travel Tips. Today we have so much to talk about. We've got news coming out of Canada. We've got Princess updating some COVID health protocols. We've got a Norwegian ship. We've got MSC to talk about, as well as the CDC. So we've got so much to talk about. First of all, I want to welcome all of our Let's Go family members. You all are the very best family ever. So thank you to all of our Let's Go family. Also, welcome to all of you who are new. We're glad to have you with us. And if there's anyone here who hasn't subscribed, if you wouldn't mind subscribing, that will help us out. And it will also help you know just every time we put out a video so that you can stay up to date with everything that is going on so that you can make educated choices when it comes to cruising and traveling right now. So first of all, the most exciting thing I think today is we have got news out of Canada that starting on April 1st, they are no longer going to require a COVID test for travelers who are traveling to Canada who are vaccinated. And that goes for like if you're flying in, for their land borders, for marine vessel landing, anything. And so that is really good news for all of us. It just takes that worry out about having to have a COVID test to go to Canada. That kind of leads me in to what the COVID health protocols are, updates are on the Princess website. And so as far as Canada goes, just be aware if you're vaccinated, no COVID test starting April 1st. Now, on the Princess website, they do have an update. And here's what they said. They've got a whole new question on their little FAQs to do with all of this. And it says, do testing requirements differ for cruise or cruise tour itineraries that include Canada? And they say that sailings that include Canadian ports of call are resuming, and we are working closely with Canadian health authorities to firm up the details. We will advise booked guests once that information becomes available. And I like to think they will also put it on their website, but I'd love to hear from any of you who have any cruises to Alaska, anything at all that calls it a Canadian port, either on the west coast, like I said, the Alaska sailings, or on the east coast for the New England, and then further up to Canada there. We would just love to hear from you. And so you can send us an email or put it in the comments below. That will really help us all out. And along with the updates that Princess has, that is the main update on that COVID health protocol. The other thing I want to make sure that I just remind everybody is two things. First of all, I get so many questions. Princess did indeed change their protocols so that if you are fully vaccinated with a booster, you can have 3 days to do an antigen test or 3 days to do a PCR test. Either one of them is acceptable. If you are vaccinated but you don't have a booster, then you get the 3 days for the PCR test and 2 days for an antigen test. And then if you are unvaccinated, just a reminder that you're going to have that PCR test within 3 days of embarkation, and then they are going to test you again at embarkation. And so just to make sure everybody is really clear, I love that they extended the deadline if you have the booster to 3 days for the antigen or for the PCR. That just makes travel so much simpler. And so that will also make it really easy if you're boosted and you are traveling to Canada to get on the ship. It'll give you time to do your test, fly to Seattle, go in, take the Princess transfer over to Vancouver, and it will also give you way extra time if you're flying in to Vancouver and you're just going a couple of days early. That 3 days is going to be amazing for that if that's what you're planning. So just kind of keep all of that in mind as you're planning. The other thing that I wanted to tell everyone is a lot of people ask me if when you come back to Canada and you need to fly back to the United States, which you know what, they might change hopefully they'll change their protocols as well and not require that test coming back. But even if they still do, right on the Princess website there, it says that if you need a COVID test to return to your home country, Princess will provide it, and Princess still says that. And so I am sure that that should hopefully, I can't see why it wouldn't apply to sailings that come into Canada and then U.S. citizens need the test to get back into the United States. And so I would plan on that, and then I would also just have a backup in mind if Princess runs out that you could get tested at the Vancouver airport. That's that's just something to have in your back pocket as a backup if they run out of tests, or you can take one of those Optum ones with you and do it anywhere that you've got access to the internet with, you can do it with your phone. And so that's really easy. And so those were just the main updates. You still have to be vaccinated. You still have to show proof of your vaccination, and you still do have to do that COVID test. But it's getting simpler, and so I think we're moving in the right direction. And the thoughts that I have for you in moving in the right direction is also that the CDC on Monday afternoon announced that they have taken the warning level to cruise down to a level 2, and that is an improvement. We were at a level 4 for a while, which is the highest, and then maybe like a month ago they brought it down to a 3, and now we are sitting at a 2. And so I think that that is awesome. I think we're moving in the right direction. I think that the CDC is starting to see that how really safe it is. Like I said, when we went in January, I felt safer on board the ship than I do in a lot of places that I was going on land at the time. And of course now today is Wednesday, March 16th, so now we're 2 months later, and the landscape has changed because Omicron is going away, but I just felt really safe on the cruise ship, so I wanted to let you all know about that. The next thing that I want to talk to you all about, let's see, alrighty. The next thing is, the Norwegian escape I told you about yesterday accidentally ran a little aground there as it was trying to sail out of the Dominican Republic. And so it says during the afternoon of March 14th, so that would be Monday, the Norwegian escape made contact with the channel bed as it was departing Puerto Plata, Dominican Republic. In the early morning of March 15th, the ship was refloated and returned to the dock at Puerto Plata, where it was assessed for damages. And so here's the bottom line. They don't see any damage to the ship, but in an abundance of caution, they are going to go ahead and disembark all of their passengers basically between today, March 16th through the 18th. So by Friday, they will be running charter flights over to Orlando, over to some airports there so that people can start to get home. They'll take people to Port Canaveral, Port Everglades. Nope, it was Port Canaveral where that ship left from, and so that people, if they drove, they can pick up their car. But the one thing that really stood out to me is that number one, all of these people get 100% refund, which I think is wonderful, and so that they can go on another cruise another time. But also, if you booked your flights through Norwegian, they would take care of making new flights for you to be able to get you home, no problem, and they'll let you know what those new flights are. If you booked on your own, then they were going to let you know as quickly as they could when the charter flights would be going, so that you would know when you would be back to catch a flight home, and then you would need to call the airlines and take care of all of that. And so that is just such an amazing reminder to me that no matter who you're cruising with, I know that the cruise lines, the major ones, have their flight programs, like with Princess It's Easy Air. It is really worth it to go ahead and book that way, just simply because of what they take care of if anything unexpected happens, whether it's weather on your trip, whether it's something on the ship, illness, just anything. If you're booked that way, they take care of it for you, and that's really what we want. And so I just wanted to point that out to everyone. And I also wanted to say that I think it is really good of Norwegian to give everyone the 100% refund on this cruise, even though they did get to go on part of their cruise. And our Let's Go family member Amy is just remarkable. She is amazing, truly. And she sent a message saying that she had read that it was like not the captain of the Norwegian escape that caused this, but it was actually the local pilot that they had board this ship, who was supposed to be navigating, because they're supposed to be, how often they are more familiar theoretically with the harbor, the ports and area and everything. And so I just wanted to put that out there. She was kind enough to let us know, and I wanted to make sure everyone was clear that it wasn't not the captain of the Norwegian escape that ran her into the bed of the channel. So we've got that. Now, the next thing that I want to talk to you about, I'm going to talk to you about MSC and what they've announced their cruises are going to be. They just announced that today for what their cruises are going to be in I'll just go ahead and tell you that. So MSC was going to have a few ships that were going to be going in the Baltic and over to St. Petersburg. And they were one of the very first ones right off to say that they were canceling all of the cruises that were going to call in, well, not canceling the whole cruise, but that they were not going to call in St. Petersburg. And so they've made an announcement today with what they're going to be doing with some of those ships and the sailings. And I think that these sound really fun. If you don't have, and beyond fun, really remarkable sailings. And so if you don't have anything planned yet for this summer, you might want to take a look at one of these, because everywhere that we're looking at flying into in Europe is getting a little bit easier, and I expect it to get even more easier as it gets closer to the summer. So they just announced that the MSC Grandiosa will be fully dedicated to the Norwegian fjords for this summer, and they are going to be sailing from Kiel, and I don't know if I'm saying that right, Kiel, Germany, to Denmark, to Copenhagen there, and then onto the Norwegian fjords, calling it Hellesilt, through Oresland Fjord to Elsund and Flom. And it says that they are suspending all of their calls at St. Petersburg, and so they'll just be completely doing those fjords in Norway. Also, the MSC Preziosa, Prezosia, and the Poesia, Poesia, will also offer some additional 7-night options to the Norwegian fjords, because they were going to also be going to St. Petersburg. Some of those St. Petersburg calls are also going to be replaced by Visby, Sweden. That's right on the island there of Gotland, and also to go to Stockholm or else to Tallinn in Estonia. And it says that also that the MSC Magnifica will sail from Hamburg, Germany, and the MSC Virtuosa will sail from Southampton in the United Kingdom. And so they are really ramping up a lot of really good cruises there. And so I was just really happy to see that these cruise lines are finding a way around. I think that part of it is that like all these little ports suddenly had even more cruise ships wanting to come to them. That's just one thing I'm wondering, if why they had to change some of these ports, because they already had some ships calling, and then with everyone not going to St. Petersburg, suddenly they got so many more ships wanting to come. So I think it's really, I love that they are rearranging and making all of this work so that people can still sail in Europe, still go see beautiful places. And if you haven't been to the Norwegian fjords yet, oh my, it is just breathtakingly beautiful. Gordon and I went there in 2018, and we just had the best time. And so I wanted to let you know. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is something that I came across on the Caribbean Princess Facebook page. And as Gordon and I read it and talked about it, I thought people need to know about this. And so what happened is there is a lady who bought, and she posted all of the information, so I'm not telling anything confidential, but she bought a ring in an Effie store that was around $10,000. When she bought it, they stamped the receipt with that AGR, American Goods Return, which basically means something is made in the US and it's coming back there, and so you don't have to pay customs on it. That's the rule, and it's always been the rule. And I have seen people do this before. I have traveled with people that have done this before with very expensive jewelry, and it has worked just fine. Well, this lady and her husband, they bought this ring. They were assured over and over again that it was duty-free. And so what happens when you buy jewelry like that when you get off the ship is they actually make you go through customs. And so you go to customs. And so this time, though, when they got to customs gave them a really hard time. And then they called in the Department of Homeland Security, and they ended up having to pay the customs fee on this. And so I looked up about it, and when something is stamped with American Goods Return, that is supposed to be duty-free. It's not supposed to be up for, where did that come from? That is not what it's supposed to be. That is an official stamp. And I read about it quite a bit, and so I thought it was really interesting. But when they were there, it says that they had to pay, and that says that the Homeland Security and the customs people were rude, and they felt really threatened. Well, not the that these guests, this lady that was writing about it, they were not allowed to use their phone. It says our family was outside in the taxi. She wanted to call them. They would not let them call. And so anyway, to make a long story short, they had to pay this when really they shouldn't have. And when I read it, I thought, are they sure? And so I looked up about it, and sure enough, you're not supposed to have to pay customs when your receipt is stamped. And especially it is stamped by Princess. It's not stamped by the guy selling a watch out of his jacket on the corner. And so I was really taken aback, and the people even wanted Princess, they wanted to call and have a Princess rep come down, and they wouldn't do that. And so I guess I'm mainly just telling you this. I would love to hear from any of you if you've had this experience, if you've bought expensive jewelry before and you got through okay. It was really interesting to me to read the comments. The only time that I have bought expensive jewelry was in Greece, and I knew I had to pay customs on that, but that's okay. I have not had the experience of having something stamped with AGR and then having to pay the customs on it. And so, like I said, if any of you have any suggestions for this lady and her husband, I didn't know if it would help to call your congressman. She tried to call Princess and has not heard back. She messaged Effie. I shouldn't say called. I don't know if she's called him or if she sent them an email. But Effie replied right away and said, no, that is correct. What did they officially say? Effie promptly replied that they were correct and Homeland Security at Port Everglades is at fault. And so I think I'm telling you this to find out what y'all think about it, to find out if it's happened to you or any experiences that you've had. So if you wouldn't mind putting that in the comments, I think that would help a lot of people, because the cruise lines sell a lot of jewelry on their ships. It's a really big deal for them. And I don't usually buy jewelry on a cruise ship. I bought like costume jewelry before, a little bracelet that had shells on it, but other than that, that's just kind of not, I generally don't see, well, I did, I guess, buy a little necklace that had some, what's that called you get in the Baltic, the amber on it, but that was not terribly expensive, so it wasn't a problem. But anyway, I felt bad for these people. I don't like when people aren't treated kindly, me by now, but I would love to hear from you all on that. And I think that that's what I've got. I've got lots of other news, but we have covered a lot today. I am so excited about Canada making it so that we don't have to be tested to come into Canada. That's going to help so many people. This is really just bright news. I think we're moving the right direction for all kinds of travel to get easier, and especially for cruising, because that's what we talk about here. I am really excited that things are getting easier, and hopefully Princess will be announcing something really soon now that we know that Canada is not going to require that. And the really nice thing is it takes away the worry that we don't have to worry if we are calling it a port anymore on a cruise ship. You don't have to worry about being tested because it's not a requirement. So this is just really great news. If you appreciate any of these updates that I do, will you please give this video a thumbs up, and I'll be talking to you all again really soon. You all take really good care. God bless you. Love you. Bye-bye.